Football is based on conversations. The greatest teams, the most overrated players, the worst fan bases, the eras that felt like they changed the sport. Everybody sees football differently. Today, we're talking about some of the biggest and most controversial conversations in football culture. My name is Christian Troupe. This is episode 19 of the Trust Troupey Podcast. Welcome back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Episode 19 of the Trust Troupey Podcast. If you guys are new here, let me do a little plug-in. Go subscribe to the YouTube at Troupey Whoopie. We're slowly growing. It's very slow, but it's growing. Growth isn't linear, guys. You gotta take your time with these type of things. You know what I mean? Like you gotta know what you're working with, know what you're rocking with. You know what I mean? We'll figure out YouTube eventually. You know what I mean? I have some things planned. I have some things going on. I have some guests. We'll say I have some guests that I plan to have on here soon. But yeah, like I said, go subscribe to the YouTube at Troupey Whoopie. Go follow my main TikTok page at Troupey Whoopie. Go follow the podcast TikTok page at the Trust Troupey Podcast. And go follow the podcast pages on the actual podcast platforms, Spotify and Apple Podcasts at the Trust Troupey Podcast. Follow my Instagram at ct.03 for more alerts, results, whatever you want to call it, right? But today we got an interesting episode. I kind of want to talk about some like not controversial things, but some things that like, you know what I'm saying? Some things that we haven't really touched on. We've been touching on like the mental side. And I'm kind of trying to like delay the inevitable. And before I dive into college football and what we're expecting next season and all of this other stuff. I'm trying to delay the inevitable because football is slowly approaching, but it's approaching at its own pace. I want it to be back so bad. I want it to be back so bad, but you know, you know, you gotta roll with the punches there. You know what I mean? Great little episode today. Let's get straight into the first segment. What is the greatest what if in football history? Oftentimes when we ask this question, it's the same answers that's brought up. You know what I mean? It's what if Dez Bryant caught that ball in the divisional round against the Packers? It's what is it? It's Marcus Lattimore. It's what happens if Johnny Manziel isn't a dumbass. You know what I'm saying? What happens if RG3 doesn't do this? You know what I mean? But I think the two that come to my head about the biggest what ifs is what happens if Michael Vick doesn't dogfight. Obviously, he was in the midst of his prime. We could have seen something crazy. Now he came back with the Eagles and he was a solid quarterback. He was a decent quarterback, but we're talking about MVP level Mike Vick. You know what I mean? That was taking the Falcons pretty far every year. You know. What happens then? Because we already talk about Mike Vick as if he was a generational, once in a lifetime quarterback that kind of changed the position, right? Yeah, I'm not gonna say he was the first scrambling quarterback because I think you got to give credit to the Steve Youngs, to the Randall Cunninghams. You know what I'm saying? You got to give credit to those guys who really like revolutionized like the scrambling quarterback archetype, right? But Mike Vick took it to another gear, right? He took it from 0 to 100, right? He was what gave us players like, you know what I mean? He was what gave us players like Vince Young in college, like Cam Newton. He is the archetype for that. And then Vince Young became another archetype, and then Cam Newton became another archetype. You know what I mean? Like these quarterbacks we think of like black scrambling quarterbacks, right? And Steve Young's not black. I apologize for that. But he was not the forefront of it, but he was like the one that broke it open. You know what I mean? What happens if he doesn't do that? What happens if he decides, okay, I'm not gonna dogfight? You know, like I feel like that's a real question to be asked. And then the second one I always think of is what happens if Sean Taylor doesn't. What happens if the Sean Taylor situation doesn't happen? Rest in peace, his soul. Sean Taylor was such a beast, man. He was what we call a headhunter, but he was one of the better safeties we've ever seen. In his short career, he was an absolute monster, bro. A monster, bro. I just wish we would have gotten a chance to see his career play out because we watched him in college, we watched him in those early days in the NFL. But man, that is hilarious. Not hilarious. I apologize. That is crazy to me. His career could have we could like I believe if he doesn't happen what happens to him, we're talking he's in the same conversation as Ed Reed. He's in the same conversation as Troy P. And people already put him in those conversations. I'm not saying that's wrong, but I feel like we're talking about him as if he is either better or in that same upper echelon, you know? That Sean Taylor situation is crazy, man. But there's a whole bunch of other things. Like there's a bunch of situations in college, you know what I mean? What's his name? Like you think of certain things like, oh shit, what if the Patriots never drafted Tom Brady, right? Which is not really a what if because they did, you know what I mean? But like you think about something like that, like how does Bill Belichick's career play out if Tom Brady doesn't get drafted? How you know what I'm saying? Because he was gonna ride or die with Bledsoe, right? Who was a number one pick, by the way. But you know what I mean? Or you even think about that '05 draft where Alex Smith went number one, right? What happens if 49ers draft Rodgers? You know? Like you think of certain things like that, or you know what I mean? I think a big one that a lot of people talk about is that 2019 NFC Championship game, the Saints versus the Rams. Hey, what happens if they call that call? I don't like using that call. I don't like using that one solely because the Saints had a chance to win it in overtime. They went to, like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously that changes the game and they probably win in regulation, right? But I don't like saying what ifs for games that you have a chance to win, right? Same thing for the Ohio State versus Clemson game in 20 versus in Clemson versus 29, right? What happens if they call it a touchdown instead of a fumble? I mean, or whatever. Fumble instead of an incomplete pass. Well, again, that was in the middle of the third quarter, and Ohio State took the lead multiple times in the fourth quarter, and then they had a chance to go win the game. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't like doing it for certain situations like that, but there are a lot of situations where we're like, okay, what if this didn't happen? A lot of people, my dad was telling me about this. Peyton Manning obviously was carving people up at Tennessee. What if he comes back for a senior year? What are we looking at there? You think of some draft day stuff, you know what I mean? Oh, wait a minute. Somebody gave me a really good one. What if Pete Carroll handed the ball off to Marshawn Lynch? I say this often. I say it often. I don't think Pete Carroll made a bad play call there. I don't think he made a bad play call there. And we can sit there and talk about, yeah, it's beast mode. You got to give him the rock. You got to give him the rock. The play before that, they did kind of stuff him. They did kind of stuff him for no gain. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what was gonna happen. Obviously, you had another down after that, so you can give it to him. And obviously, it's beast mode. You never know what's gonna happen when he gets the rock. But I always talk about I can see where Pete Carroll was coming from. A pick play on the goal line. It took a generational play that corners rarely make in order for him to make that play. Corners don't jump slants like that. He made one of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history to get that play. I'm telling you, I see exactly where Pete Carroll was coming from. Let's throw him off guard. Let's throw him off guard. But the problem is it's Belichick we're talking about, and Belichick was 100% prepared for that shit. But they got stuffed on the play before. I don't know. I don't know. Another one is what if the Falcons didn't implode and absolutely shit the bucket in the Super Bowl against the Patriots? Up 28-3, started playing a little b- passive. I hate that shit, by the way. I hate when teams get to start playing passive. I hate that. I hate that. No, we had to let off the gas. It's the Super Bowl. Stop. Why let off the gas? I hate that shit. Well, we're getting the starters out in the Super Bowl. Shut the fuck up. In the Super Bowl, no, they asses started playing with fire, and they played with fire against the wrong quarterback. They played with fire against Tom Brady of all people. Like, what are we talking about? Oh my goodness. But I don't know. Another one somebody sent me. What if Colt McCoy never got injured in the 2010 uh, BCS National Championship? It wouldn't have made a difference. It wouldn't have made a damn difference. Colt McCoy wasn't stopping that running game. Colt McCoy it wasn't gonna make a damn difference. And then another one somebody gave me was, what if Reggie Bush never lateraled the ball in 2006 Rose Bowl? Well, again, that happened in like the second quarter. And yes, they went up a little big. They went up by like 10 in the fourth quarter or something like that, or 12 in the fourth quarter. That wasn't going to do anything. But I don't know. There's a lot of what ifs in football history. You guys let me know which ones you think, what ifs you think are like some of the greatest in history, right? But let's take a break. Let's reset the next segment. Who are the worst fan bases in just football? Worst fan bases in football, okay? There's a couple that come to mind, right? There's a couple that come to mind. Number one, out of every fan base known to man, the Cowboys fans are the worst fan base ever, followed by Ohio State fans. Those two fan bases are some of the most obnoxious people on the planet. Because, listen, I'm not saying all of them, but there's a good majority of them that have never, I swear to God, don't watch anything other than Cowboys and Ohio State fans. So they base football off of the Ohio State game or off of the Cowboys game they just watched. Them motherfuckers are annoying as hell. Them Cowboys fans will legitimately, no bullshit, them Cowboys fans will legitimately find an excuse for every single thing that happened on the field, regardless of what happened. And Ohio State fans, a lot of them are just stupid. A lot of them think they know more football than what they actually do, right? For example, I was in an argument with an Ohio State fan on my YouTube channel because I said, I don't think JJ is a top 10 receiver in college football history, right? And realistically, what I said wasn't that ridiculous. But even then, in the video, I said, hey, realistically, he might end up top 10 solely because of the fact that I can't name 10. You know what I mean? He gets the jaw jacking at the mouth, right? Talking about this is what I'm talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. He gets doubled every play with the nickel and the outside linebacker and the safety in the corner. I said, oh, so he mean playing regular damn defense. Then he got to telling me how he's getting double press covered at the line with the nickel. What the hell are we talking about? But that be the shit I be talking about. They'll say some of the most wild shit in the fucking world. And then go off and act like that shit's law. Act like that shit is just, everybody agrees with me. They get mad when you don't agree with them. My God, those two fan bases are at the top of the top of like not only delusional, but stupid and always think they know what they talking about and always got something to say, regardless of how much they know about football or don't know about football, right? Right? But at the same time, they act like they always have a say in an argument or a conversation, right? So, for example, I'll say, hey, I think this team has the best receiving core in the country. Never bringing them up. And then they'll come into comment sections and be like, so Ohio State's is just trash? Damn, I didn't know you had to be included in everything. Nobody was talking about y'all. Like, no. I know bullshit. Those two fan bases take the fucking cake. Oh my God. Annoying as shit. Next, Eagles fans have their moments too. Eagles fans, don't get me started on y'all. Listen, I respect Eagles fans more than I respect Cowboys fans. I respect Eagles fans a lot more than I respect Cowboys fans. Okay. Eagles fans, I can respect y'all because at least y'all will be willing to actually talk football. Hey, I don't gonna lie. I believe this, that, and the third because this, that, and the third. Cool, I got you. But sometimes y'all take it over the top. I do fuck with Eagles fans though. I'm not gonna lie, but y'all can be annoying. Bama fans as of recently too. Oh Lord, Bama fans as of recently is bad. Y'all niggas are bad. As of last year, Miami and Indiana fans were really obnoxious, but Miami fans, I give y'all some grace. I give y'all some grace. And then I gotta, you know what I mean? Like I gotta call out what I gotta call out. Notre Dame fans is they're in that upper echelon of annoying ass fans. They are 100% in that upper echelon of annoying ass fans. I've talked to many Irish fans just like me that say stupid shit, that always got something to say. But I've talked to many Irish fans that just like mentalities about some shit is weird as hell. Like, I hate somebody that thinks they can tell me what I got to think about somebody. Notre Dame fans are notorious about that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I love my Irish nation. I love the Irish faithful. Notre Dame fans are notorious for trying to tell somebody how they have to feel about something. For example, IU won national championship. Cool, great, amazing. I'm over here saying, cool, they won the championship. I don't give a fuck. Cool, whatever. No, you have to respect the championship as an Indiana native. No, the fuck I don't. I can say, hey, they won a championship and still be like, I don't fuck with them niggas. Like, I can say that because I don't care. I don't have to respect anything. I don't have to. Like, still to this day, think Notre Dame would have beaten IU this year too. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, Notre Dame fans can get bad too. They're up there. Some days they up there with Ohio State fans too. Michigan fans, y'all not out of this conversation too. Y'all right up there with the upper echelon of annoying ass fans. Michigan fans, y'all are 100% in that tier, in that realm that we're talking about right now. Y'all are just as annoying. Let's see. Other fan bases that get to yapping about some shit. Any fans from Florida, any Florida fans, Jacksonville fans, y'all can get real bad. Miami fans, we talk about the Dolphins fans. I mean, we talk about Hurricanes fans. I'm talking about the Dolphins fans. Y'all can get bad too. Baltimore fans. Oh, and then I gotta talk about this. Bills fans too. Bills fans too. Being up in Syracuse, New York for this year that I've been up here, Bills fans have been the most obnoxious people on the planet, especially during the playoffs. Good God, the excuses every year from y'all. Oh my God. Josh Allen can do no wrong in y'all eyes, I can see. Josh Allen can do no wrong in y'all eyes, regardless of how much wrong he does. In past years, I can be like, okay, yeah, Josh Allen didn't play bad. His team did play bad, but down the stretch, Josh Allen needs to be a quarterback and actually make a play, right? But this year, he had no fucking excuse. That game was abysmal. That game was abysmal. Against the Broncos, what he had 4 turnovers, and there were still excuses for him. Oh my God, that offensive lineman, he said, no, fuck that. 4 turnovers? Y'all berated CJ Stroud for the awful game he played, and it was awful. But when Josh Allen came up, crickets. I don't want to hear none of that shit. Buffalo Bills fans are annoying as shit. Giants fans, despite not winning a damn thing in a bajillion years, are annoying as shit. And I can't even put my fan base on here. I can't put Arizona Cardinals fans on here. We have nothing to look forward to. So we're not annoying. We just suck. You know what I mean? Oh, speaking of annoying fans, 49ers fans, y'all are absolutely in this list. Absolutely in this list. Absolutely in this list. I hate y'all so much. 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 Rams fans and Seahawks fans. All 3 of y'all. Annoying as fuck. But there's plenty of annoying fan bases out there. But like I said, I think the upper echelon of annoying fans goes Cowboys. For the NFL, it's Cowboys, Eagles. For college football, it's Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Texas, Bama. Yeah. For those are what I say the most annoying fan bases just when it comes to football. Easily. Easily. We're gonna segue away from like other conversations and get into something that I feel near and dear. Okay. I talked about it. I haven't talked about it in depth though. Okay. I hate 7-on-7 football culture. I hate 7-on-7 football culture. Now, let me preface this. By saying 7-on-7 absolutely helps with the fall. For DBs, for receivers, even for quarterbacks, linebackers getting into pass drops, all of that. It helps because you cannot get those live in-game reps for competition in the offseason unless you're getting up and you're doing one-on-ones. And one-on-ones a lot of times aren't the best representation of how to do certain things and play certain coverages, right? So I get it. You absolutely need to be doing something in the offseason. If it's not track, 7-on-7 is a great substitute. What I hate about 7-on-7 football culture is everything else that goes into it. It's the disrespectful nature. It's the kids who don't listen. It's the kids who gotta stick up their ass. It's that shit. It's the disrespectful little motherfuckers in this realm that make it weird. And then the people who endorse the shit. I got asked the other day, if OTE or whatever came to you and was like, hey, we want you to segue 7-on-7 football culture and really, I would have to think about it. Because I a lot of times it irritates me to see all of the shit that goes into it. It irritates me to see people getting looks and offers from 7-on-7. I hate it. It's one thing if you've seen this dude play. It's another thing if he has no film whatsoever, but the only film he has is 7-on-7. I'm telling you. I am telling you. I think again, a lot of it has to do with like, and I don't mind celebrating. I don't mind the shit talk. I don't mind a lot of that stuff. What I do mind is the nature of the highlights and everything, not allowing a kid to fail. Not because most of the time when you're playing football, you're gonna fuck up. You're gonna get boomed on. You're gonna get bean top. You're gonna get picked off. All of that, and it's a learning experience. What I don't like is the extra berating of the kids for trying to learn what is wrong and right within the game of football, or the extra bullshit of, hey, I just caught a ball over you, so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna throw a football at you after I do it. You bitch. I'm gonna throw a football, I'm gonna throw a punch, I'm gonna do all that. No, I'm telling you, no bullshit. When 7-on-7, when I was playing high school, 7-on-7 was on the rise. It wasn't as high as it is right now. It was on the rise. And what they used to do was when somebody dunked on somebody, they would go put a trash bag over somebody's head. That shit is weird, bro. That's disrespectful as hell, bro. I'm not one of them, oh, respect every opponent. No, but I'm also one for, hey, if that shit was done to you, you'd be ready to fucking swing, right? That's what I can't stand about 7-on-7. Culture. Okay. I don't like the humping of the ground after a pick. I don't like that shit. Celebrations are fine. Keep the celebrations PG though. Like, come on, man. Do you hit your little dance? You know what I'm saying? Hit your little dance. You know what I'm saying? Hit your little dance. I'm cool with that. Hit your little backflip. Hit your back hamstring. Hit all of that shit. Get excited. I love it. Stop throwing footballs at people. Stop corralling around doing all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because what it makes it look like is when you got a motherfucker that ain't going for that shit and he hits you upside your head. Now it's, oh, he's sensitive. Oh, he needs to. No, that shit's weird, bro. I hate the culture of it. I don't hate the fundamental aspect of it because I think corners needed absolutely, safeties needed absolutely. I hate the social media culture of it. That is the perfect way to describe it. I hate the social media culture of it. It's covered more than actual high school sports. And then we get to the point to where all the 7-on-7 stars are the only players that are getting looks and offers because of 7-on-7 are the only players that are getting shine and highlights. When I can sit there and I can name players better than some of the top 7-on-7 players right now, but the only reason that those 7-on-7 players are getting recognition is because they played 7-on-7. Like, come on, man. And stuff like this really makes me want to go into scouting for college and shit like that, because some of these rankings make no sense, and some of these rankings will never make sense. It just doesn't make sense for us to sit there and call somebody a 5-star with barely any film. I don't care that he's 6'4". 7-on-7 culture has changed a lot of shit, a lot of landscapes, a lot of whatever, social media. Cause now players are highlight focused. 7-on-7 takes away that team aspect of the sport, because in football, when you're playing defense, everybody has to be one. Without them trenches, you can't get a bat down. Without them trenches, you can't get a sack. And taking away the most important part of football. Listen. I'm not gonna be one of those guys that shits on it for all the wrong reasons. I'm gonna shit on it because of the fact that there are some real AAU aspects when it comes to this shit that needs to stop. Now, do I think they can work towards that? Yes. What I want to see 7-on-7 teams that fundamentally sound, are running form plays based off of what they're seeing, actually playing the game of football. Then is where I'll start to actually watch and respect. Right now, all I see is a shallow football with a bunch of egotistical kids that don't give a fuck about, that don't really give a fuck about anything else but the fact that, shit, this going on TikTok later. Ironic coming from a TikToker. I get it. But come on, man. That's the problem I have with 7-on-7. It's not the training aspect that they get from it. It's the extra banter and antics that I hate about it. It's the extra recognition that a lot of these kids get or should not be getting because of it. Because again, we got these overtime pages and all of that who are missing out on some actual dogs because they're only following the 7-on-7 names, right? And then it's supposed to be fun. I get it. So I'm taking it a little too seriously. But then it's taken away, and it's not shedding light on the most important position in football, the trenches, D-line, O-line. It's taking away from that. It's taking away from all of it. Takes away the physicality aspect. And I only say this because, again, my little brother's playing 7-on-7 right now. Killing it. But you gotta keep him mellow about this shit. You gotta keep him, hey, this is great. Just make sure this is translating to the pads, because the pads is what matters. If you, I don't know. I need to ask some questions about the people that are getting looks from 7-on-7. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just hating. You know what I mean? 7-on-7 culture pisses me off, but 7-on-7 itself, I get the premise, I get the gist of it. You absolutely need those off-season reps, and 7-on-7 does that. I applaud that. I applaud that every time, because that's something that football needed. What football does not need is the extra antics that goes along with this shit. That's what it doesn't need. Save that for in between the whistles, right? But let's talk. I got a question the other day from a viewer, right? One of my many messages that I need to respond to. I apologize if I haven't responded to your message. But who had the most aura in college football history? That's a great question. I'm going to put it into this perspective. I'm thinking about players that, if NIL were around in their day and age, they would be a bajillionaires. You know what I mean? Right? I think of players like Reggie Bush. Reggie Bush would have 100% been a multi-million-dollar quarterback. I mean, running back. Cam Newton would have been a multi-million-dollar NIL quarterback. Deion Sanders, the way he was able to market himself. he would have been a multi-millionaire when it comes to his shit. Some players just felt bigger than the sport itself, right? I think of 2019. I feel like LSU's NIL evaluation would have been disgusting, right? I think of Derrick Henry. I think of I think of guys like I think of guys like Julio, Megatron, right? Guys that like not only were they in like superstars within the game, they would have been set for life in college. So if we're talking aura, I'm always gonna put Cam Newton. Cam Newton was alone at the top of college football during his time period. I'm gonna put Reggie, and then I'm gonna go Cam, Reggie. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go players like I think Jadeveon Clowney would have been a crazy, crazy NIL prospect. But there's a lot of players that I think would have had hella money. Cam Newton, Michael Vick, I think Reggie, obviously, Joe Burrow, Dion, Tyrann Mathieu, AJ Green, all of the big name stars you know today in the NFL. I think a lot of them would have absolutely had abysmal NIL checks just because of the aura alone, just because of like the name and reputation that they held throughout this time, right? I think of almost every Heisman winner. Like I think Baker and Kyler would have been disgusting with NIL, right? I think of obviously we talk about I think Johnny probably all right, listen. Johnny was a dumbass. He was stupid as fuck. But that boy knew how to market himself. He was already getting paid when he wasn't supposed to be getting paid and got away with it. A part of that is because of the fact that he was able to get away with all of this bullshit. He would have won 100%. If you weren't around for Johnny football and the way college football gravitated towards him. He was hanging out with celebrities. He was with Harden. He was with Drake. He was with all of these guys, right? If you did not see the impact that he had on college football, just from a marketing standpoint, he is a big part of the reason why we have NIL to this day, right now. That motherfucker probably would have had 20 million. No bullshit. No bullshit. No bullshit. No bullshit. No bullshit. He probably would have had 20 million. Just off of jersey signings and sports card signings and all of that shit, all the shit he was doing and getting paid for, to which he would have got paid for even more. Johnny Manziel probably would have had 20 million. And this is off of the way he was able to market himself just alone with his boy. Go watch that Untold shit on Netflix about Johnny Manziel. That motherfucker would have been, oh my God, he would have been disgusting with NIL. But like I just think of some of the players, a lot of the players that truly had that like level of aura that you can't replicate, right? Like I'm trying to think like household names that kind of changed football forever. Vince Young would have been insane. Um, I feel like that whole USC team from like '03 to '06 would have been disgusting in NIL. There's just a lot of teams and a lot of people that absolutely would have gotten the fattest check possible just off of namesake, right? Just off of the fact that they want their name on something, right? Think of players like RG3 and things he were doing. It's just hard to segue away from Manziel when it comes to this shit because I think a big part of why NIL came into play today was because of Reggie. It was because of Reggie and Manziel. Reggie, because of the shit that happened to him and him getting his Heisman snatched for a couple years for the dumbest shit ever, which is insane. Looking at the Johnny Manziel situation, because Johnny Manziel was absolutely doing everything that they thought Reggie was doing, right? Like we know why that is. I shouldn't have to say much with that. I think of those two players when it comes to NIL and when it comes to how they looked and shaped NIL. It 100% was a good forefront had to have been Manziel and Bush. They were so marketable and so profitable, despite Manziel being stupid and always getting himself into trouble and always partying and always doing all this dumb shit. Marketable as hell. Everybody wanted Manziel gear, all of that. And I can think of that same thing when it came to Reggie. Reggie was one of the first backs since Barry Sanders to have that burst, that speed. Every kid wanted to be Reggie. Every kid wanted to be Reggie, right? Yeah, it's definitely, definitely some things to be talked about when it comes to that NAL thing. But there's a lot of players when it comes to that or conversation that we absolutely, absolutely, yeah, absolutely, absolutely should be talked about, right? Segment number 5. The greatest teams, the greatest teams to never win a championship. This is NFL, this is college football, all of that, right? Obviously, first things first, we got to talk about them. You got to start with like the '07 Patriots, right? You got to start with, you know what I'm saying? You got to start with a team like that. Undefeated all year. Looking like they're finally going to break the curse of, because the last team to go undefeated was that Dolphins team back in, I believe, in the 70s or 80s, right? They're finally going to do it. They're going up against a Giants team that had a miraculous run in the playoffs, right? We're not going to sit here and act like that Giants team was just miles better, but they outplayed the Patriots that day with a prime Randy and a prime Tom Brizzle, right? We think of that '07 Patriots team that had a chance to rewrite history, right? Right. Okay. Somebody told me 2011 LSU, and I want to say, yeah, but they didn't get past the 50-yard line. You're never gonna be in a conversation of the greatest teams that didn't win a championship if you didn't get past the 50-yard line, right? Didn't get past the 50-yard line. You just didn't, right? Um, I also think about, let me think. Okay. I think of some of those Bama teams that lost to Clemson some of those years. I'm thinking about that 2016 Bama team with all of those dogs, Eddie Jackson, Minko Fitzpatrick. That team was disgusting. And obviously, they lost to Deshaun Watson and that Clemson team that was disgusting. One of the better teams ever, right? Some of those USC teams, '05 USC, the team that went against Texas, I think that team gets talked about like one of the greatest ever if they win that shit too, right? But we also got to think about NFL too, right? Also got to think about NFL. I think some of those teams, like you got to think about that Falcons team in 2016. That team was damn good. MVP Matt Ryan. In fact, they were a defensive fucking way. And no, actually, I can't even say a defensive way because that fucking offense was abysmal in the second half, right? You think of a 2016 Falcons team, right? You think of a multitude of those Patriots teams that lost. You think of who else? 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 Yeah, it's so many you can truly like go back and look at and be like, damn, these teams are nasty, right? There's a couple Georgia teams in there. That 2017 Georgia team was damn good. At 2017, the 2018 Bama team was disgusting. Even that 2019 Clemson team, disgusting. They were undefeated also going into that game. And actually, that Clemson team went up 17-0, I believe, or they went up big in that game or something like that, right? It was just that LSU team was just that damn good, right? That 2021 Bama team was really damn good too. They escaped with a lot of shit though. But oh, wait a minute. I think the perfect answer for this is 2023 Georgia. I think the perfect answer for this is 2023 Georgia. I think to this day, and Michigan fans, y'all gonna hate me. Y'all gonna hate me. Y'all gonna hate me. To this day, I think Georgia was the best team in the country. And I think Georgia beats any one of those teams. I think Georgia was going to win a national championship. They were on a crash course for the three-peat. They were on a crash course for the three-peat, bro. I don't care. They were on a crash course for the three-peat. They left. I think we talk about Florida State getting screwed. Georgia was the one that got screwed. Georgia was the one that got screwed. One loss in the conference championship to Alabama with one loss to Texas. Like, come on now. I don't know. Georgia might have been the one that got screwed. But the problem was that year, the problem was Texas beat Alabama, and they made it a precedent at the beginning of the year. They said head-to-head matchups will be the deciding factor on which team gets in, which means Texas ended up getting in because they beat Bama, but Bama got in over Georgia because they beat Georgia. The only problem with that is they also made a precedent in saying you should not be punished for getting to your conference championship and losing. So that's where the issue resided. That's where things got difficult, right? That's where everything got a little bit shaky, a little honky. Because you absolutely cannot sit there and tell me that Georgia team wasn't the best team in the country. They were number one in the country all the way going into the conference championship game. And they dropped to 6 because, like, you dropped 5 spots, my guy. I don't know. I'm always going to think about that team. That team will forever be ingrained. Forever be ingrained. Forever. But we are going to wrap this episode up. I really like this episode today. A little bit of mixture of everything, right? A little bit of mixture of some serious topics and just talking about football in general, right? Got to do a little bit of plugging. Make sure you guys are following every platform. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube at Troupey Whoopie. Make sure you guys are following the main TikTok page at Troupey Whoopie. Make sure you guys are following the podcast TikTok, the podcast TikTok page at Trust Troupey Podcast, and make sure you guys are supporting and following the podcast pages themselves on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We're trying to grow ever so slightly. We're trying to get to a place that we ain't never been before. We're trying to grow on YouTube. We're trying to really get somewhere, you know what I'm saying? But it's growth. Growth isn't linear. We're trying to lock in. I hope you guys have a great day. Listen, you ain't gotta like me. You ain't gotta love me. You ain't even gotta fuck with me like that. Just understand you can trust me. Episode 19 of the Trust Troupey Podcast. Peace.